Boom, hey peeps, it's your man Bubba B, and yes, the official month of Black History has ended. But you thought that it just ended on February 28th on a Sunday? Nah. This year, Black History Month is going for the full year, 365 days. And it's a struggle to bring forth this knowledge and wisdom to the masses. There's so much pushback, and there's so much like, yo, we don't have an XYZ month. Why do you guys need a Black History Month? That kind of stuff. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, okay, let me try to come at it from a different angle. And a lot of people may know or may not know that the Black History Committee, Manitoba Committee, is chaired by beautiful women, strong women, and yet the women's movement has been moving forward slowly, incrementally for hundreds of years. And so I decided that, because Black History Month ended in February and we are pushing new ground right now going into March, I'm going to read from the speeches that changed the world. Over 100 speeches, and specifically I'm going to read a speech by a lady by the name of Elizabeth Cady Stanton. I urge a 16th Amendment because manhood suffrage, or a man's government, is civil, religious, and social disorganization. The male element is a destructive force, stern, selfish, aggrandizing, loving war, violence, conquest, acquisition, breeding in the material and moral world alike, discord, disorder, disease, and death. See what a record of blood and cruelty the pages of history reveal. Through what slavery, slaughter, and sacrifice, through what inquisitions and imprisonments, pains and persecutions, black codes and gloomy creeds, the soul of humanity has struggled for centuries, while mercy has veiled her face and all hearts have been dead alike to love and hope. The male element has held high carnival thus far. It has fairly run riot from the beginning, overpowering the feminine element everywhere, crushing out all the diviner qualities in human nature until we know but little of true manhood and womanhood, of the latter comparatively nothing. But for it has scarce been recognized as a power until within the last century. Society is but the reflection of man himself, untempered by woman's thought, the hard iron rule we feel alike in the church, the state, and the home. No one need wonder at the disorganization, at the fragmentary condition of everything, when we remember that man, who represents but half a complete being, with but half an idea on every subject, has undertaken the absolute control of all sublunary matters. People object to the demands of those whom they chose to call the strong-minded because they say, quote, the right of suffrage will make the women masculine, end quote. That is just the difficulty in which we are involved today. Though disenfranchised, we have few women in the best sense. We have simply so many reflections, varieties, and delusions of the masculine gender. The strong natural characteristics of womanhood are repressed and ignored in dependence. For so long as man feeds woman, she will try to please the giver and adapt herself to his condition. To keep a foothold in society, woman must be as near like man as possible. Reflect his ideas, opinions, virtues, motives, prejudices, and vices. She must respect his statutes, though they strip her of every inalienable right and conflict with the higher law written by the finger of God on her own soul. She must look at everything from its dollar and cent point of view, and she is a mere romancer. She must accept things as they are and make the best of them. To mourn over the miseries of others, the poverty of the poor, their hardships in jails, prisons, asylums, the horrors of war, cruelty, and the brutality in every form. All this would be mere sentimentalizing. To protest against the intrigue, the bribery, and corruption of public life, to desire that her sons might follow some business that did not involve lying, cheating, and a hard, grinding selfishness would be errant nonsense. In this way, man has been molding woman in his ideas by direct and positive influences, while she, if not a negation, has used indirect means to control him, and in most cases developed the very characteristics both in him and herself that needed repression. And now man himself stands appalled at the results of his own excesses and mourns in bitterness that falsehood, selfishness, and violence are the law of life. The need of this hour is not territory, gold mines, railroads, or specie payments, but a new evangel of womanhood. To exalt purity, virtue, morality, true religion, to lift man up into the higher realms of thought and action. We ask women's enfranchisement as the first step towards the recognition of that essential element in government that can only secure the health, strength, and prosperity of the nation. Whatever is done to lift women to her true position will help to usher in a new day of peace and perfection for her race, or for the race. In speaking of the masculine element, I do not wish to be understood to say that all men are hard, selfish, and brutal. For many of the most beautiful spirits the world has known have been clothed with manhood. But I refer to those characteristics, though often marked in woman, that distinguish what is called the stronger sex. For example, the love of acquisition and conquest, the very pioneers of civilization, when expended on the earth, the sea, the elements, the riches, and forces of nature, are powers of destruction when used to subjugate one man to another or to sacrifice nations to ambition. Here, that great conservator of woman's love, if permitted to assert itself, as it naturally would in freedom against oppression, violence, and war, would hold all these destructive forces in check, for woman knows the cost of life better than man does, and not with her consent would one drop of blood be shed, one life sacrificed in vain. With violence and disturbance in the natural world, we see a constant effort to maintain an equilibrium of forces. Nature, like a loving mother, is ever trying to keep land and sea, mountain and valley, each in its place. To hush the angry winds and waves, balance the extremes of heat and cold, of rain and drought, that peace, harmony, and beauty may reign supreme. There is a striking analogy between matter and mind. And the present disorganization of society warns us that in the dethronement of woman, we have let loose the elements of violence and ruin that she only has the power to curb. If the civilization of age calls for an extension of the suffrage, surely a government of the most virtuous, educated men and women would better represent the whole and protect the interests of all than could the representation of either sex alone. Again, that was The Destructive Male by Elizabeth Cady Stanton. And now, just a little bit of backstory. Elizabeth Cady Stanton helped to launch the women's rights movement in America in the 1840s. She gave this speech in 1868 at the Women's Suffrage Convention in Washington, D.C. Stanton campaigned for more than 50 years for voting rights for American women and against the sexist, social, and political norms of her day. Boom. That was 153 years ago. And yet we're still fighting. And I brought all that to say this, we're still fighting for knowledge and wisdom and equality, and we want our heritage to be more than just, oh, we brought some slaves over from Africa, they did some work for 400 years, get over it. We let you all free in 1863 with the Emancipation Proclamation, especially speaking about in the United States. And it is so much more than that. We are kings, we are scientists, we are lawyers, we are doctors, we are minds of Minolta. Do you remember that commercial? Like the minds that can see everything and create things that are imaginary, that other people don't even think exist. That was us. That was us. That's our ancestry. That's our lineage. And so I, for one, am going to push the barrier and stand behind my beautiful women who are the leaders of the Black History Month Committee in their desire to see this entity evolve past just 1 month, the shortest month, and even this year, which makes it even a shorter month and a shorter year, to expand all year. Black History, 24/7, 365. My name is Bubba B, and that was from the Speeches That Changed the World. Thank you so much, and remember, I Love to Read Month is also February, and you don't have to just read once a month or 1 month out of the year. You can read every day, all day. Reading is beautiful, and it's very powerful. And cheers. Cheers to you if you are an ally. Cheers to the people that help. Cheers to the people that want to help. And cheers to the kids and the youth that motivate me to motivate everybody else to keep moving forward. Peace. Stay up. Me and Bob, we out. Out. Right, Bob? Wait, Bob. What you gotta say? Yeah, man, everything good. Everything all right. All right, then. Peace.